For most of us, a warm cup of tea is pretty much the definition of a healthy, comforting drink. It's packed with antioxidants. It's good for us, right? Well, what if I told you there's a really surprising twist to that story? Let's get into it. So, we hear it all the time. Tea is great for you. It fights damage, protects our cells, the whole deal. But that brings up a really important question, one that science is just starting to wrap its head around. When we're talking about tea's amazing protective powers, is it actually possible to have too much of a good thing? And it turns out the answer is, well, it's complicated. You see, new research is showing that tea leads this incredible double life. On one hand, it's this amazing guardian for our DNA, but on the other hand, under just the right conditions, it can actually flip the script. Okay, so first, let's talk about why tea has this rock-solid reputation as a health hero. And really, it all comes down to these incredible compounds inside the tea leaves called polyphenols. Now, if you zoom in on that polyphenol family, there's one group that really steals the show: the catechins. In green tea especially, these things are super concentrated. We're talking 30 to 40% of the actual solid material in your cup. And the most famous one of all is a molecule called EGCG. So, how in the world do these little molecules protect something as important as our DNA? Well, it's not just one thing. Think of it more like a really sophisticated three-layered defense system. Let's break down how this works. First up, tea is amazing at neutralizing these nasty things called free radicals, basically stopping them in their tracks before they can cause any chaos in our DNA. Second, it actually disarms potentially harmful metals that might be floating around, like iron and copper, so they can't stir up any more trouble. And third, and this is the really cool part, it sends a signal to our body to power up its own built-in defense systems. It's like sending your cells to the gym to get stronger and better at protecting themselves. Okay, but here is where the plot thickens. The very same chemical superpower that makes tea so protective, well, under certain circumstances, it can actually cause the opposite effect. It becomes a pro-oxidant. It's a total paradox, two sides of the very same coin. And this quote from a major study just nails it. It says that both the good effect and the bad effect can come from the exact same process. So what's the tiebreaker? It all comes down to the dose. It's a perfect illustration of that old saying, the dose makes the poison. The main character in this whole drama is hydrogen peroxide. See, when those catechins break down, they can create it. In tiny amounts, like we saw before, it's a good thing. It acts like a little messenger, telling our cells to beef up their defenses. But in big amounts, it becomes the very thing we're trying to avoid, a source of stress that can damage our cells and our DNA. So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, scientists set up a really clever experiment to see this Jekyll and Hyde effect happen right before their eyes. And the results are just wow. Take a look at this. At a low dose, the green tea reduced DMA damage by a solid 26%. Awesome, right? But then at a high dose, and this was only 5 times more concentrated, it completely flipped. It didn't just stop helping, it actually increased DNA damage by more than 50%. What a wild turnaround. So how do they know for sure it was the hydrogen peroxide causing the problem? Well, they did something brilliant. They added an enzyme that specifically gets rid of H2O2, and poof, the damage at that high dose completely disappeared. That was the smoking gun. It proved that the tea itself was generating the very thing that was causing the harm. Now, obviously, there's a whole world of tea out there beyond just green tea. So where do all the other types, white, black, oolong, fit into all this? Well, it really all boils down to how they're processed. As you can see here, white and green teas are barely processed at all, and that's what keeps those catechins we've been talking about so well preserved. But with oolong and black tea, there's an oxidation step that actually transforms those catechins into totally new compounds, which gives each tea its own unique fingerprint and its own set of benefits. And this leads to some really cool little differences. For example, some studies show that while green tea is an amazing scavenger, it's fantastic at cleaning up the mess after harmful radicals are formed, white tea might be a better blocker. It's more effective at stopping certain things from becoming harmful in the first place. So they're both protecting us just in slightly different ways. How cool is that? Okay, that was a lot of science, so let's bring it all home. What does this mean for you and your daily cup of tea? Should you be worried about this dark side? Well, here's the most important piece of context. Food safety authorities have looked into this, and their concern isn't about the tea you brew. It's about highly concentrated EGCG supplements. They've put out a warning that taking more than 800 milligrams a day from these supplements could be risky. Now, let's put that 800 milligram number into perspective. Your average cup of green tea has somewhere between 240 and 320 milligrams of catechins. You'd have to drink a lot of tea to get anywhere close to that cautionary level, let alone the insane concentrations that used in that lab study. The bottom line is, you're just not going to hit those levels through normal drinking.
So, to wrap it all up, what should you take away from this? First, and most importantly, your daily cup of tea is overwhelmingly safe and good for you. Second, that pro-oxidant dark side really only shows up at super high concentrations, which is mainly a concern for extracts and supplements, not your teacup. Third, remember that different types of tea bring their own unique benefits to the table. And finally, tea is just a fantastic reminder of that timeless rule in nutrition. The only thing separating a medicine from a poison is the dose. And that really leaves us with a final question to chew on, this whole idea of dose dependency. It's not just about tea. It applies to so many things we eat, from vitamins to minerals. It makes you stop and think, doesn't it? What other healthy things in our diet might have their own hidden dual nature, waiting to be discovered?